Story 1. I've been a street vendor in the downtown area for almost 4 years now. After getting laid off from my office job during the pandemic, I needed something to keep me afloat while I figured things out. I started selling handmade jewelry and art prints at the weekend market, and it turned into a full-time thing. I got all the proper permits, paid my fees, and built up a regular customer base. It's not always easy, especially during bad weather, but I love the independence and the people I meet. Last Sunday was supposed to be a good day. The weather forecast predicted sunshine, so I'd set up my booth early, arranging my display of silver rings, beaded bracelets, and watercolor prints on the folding tables. By mid-morning, the area was packed with tourists and locals browsing the various vendor stalls. Around 11, dark clouds rolled in out of nowhere. Within minutes, it started drizzling. I quickly pulled out my large red patio umbrella, the one I'd bought specifically for situations like this. It was big enough to cover my entire booth and keep my merchandise dry. I anchored it securely in the heavy base I always brought with me. The rain picked up, and most shoppers either huddled under awnings or left the market entirely. I was reorganizing some prints that had gotten slightly damp when I heard someone next to my booth. "Karen, oh perfect, an umbrella." I looked over and saw a woman in a white pantsuit standing right at the edge of my booth. Before I could say anything, she stepped fully under my umbrella, shoving some of my displayed items aside to make room. "Me? Excuse me, that's my booth umbrella. It's for protecting my merchandise." "Karen, well, it's raining, and I don't have an umbrella. I'm sure you can share." "Me, the umbrella is anchored to my booth for my products. There's a coffee shop right there with an awning if you need to get out of the rain." "Karen, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying right here until the rain stops." "Me, ma'am, you can't just take over my workspace. I'm trying to run a business." "Karen, I'm not taking over anything. I'm simply standing here." She crossed her arms and planted herself firmly in the center of my booth, blocking customers from accessing my tables. The rain was coming down harder now, and she wasn't budging. "Me, you're literally standing in the middle of my booth. Customers can't even see my products." "Karen, then maybe you should get a bigger umbrella." "Me, or maybe you could go literally anywhere else. There are dozens of places to get out of the rain." "Karen, this umbrella blew into my personal space, so now it's mine." I stared at her, not sure I'd heard correctly. "Me, what?" "The umbrella didn't blow anywhere. It's anchored to my booth. It's been here since I opened." "Karen, that's your interpretation. I interpret it as divine reassignment." "Me, divine reassignment? Are you serious right now?" "Karen, the universe provides for those who need it. I needed shelter, and the universe provided this umbrella." "Me, the universe didn't provide anything. I bought this umbrella with my own money to protect my business." "Karen, your attachment to material possessions is showing." At this point, another vendor from 2 stalls down came over. He'd been watching the whole thing. "Fellow vendor, hey, is this lady bothering you?" "Me, she's refusing to leave my booth." "Karen, I'm not leaving. This is a public space." "Fellow vendor, the booth space is rented and permitted. You can't just camp out in someone's workspace." "Karen, I have every right to stand wherever I want in a public market." "Me, not inside my permitted booth area. That's private space that I'm paying for." "Karen, well, I'm not moving until the rain stops. If you have a problem with that, call someone." "Me, fine. I will." I pulled out my phone and called the non-emergency police line. I explained the situation, and they said they'd send an officer over. The whole time I was on the phone, she stood there smirking like she'd already won. "Karen, you're really calling the police? Over an umbrella?" "Me, I'm calling them because you're trespassing in my rented booth space and refusing to leave." "Karen, this is harassment. I'm being persecuted for seeking shelter." "Fellow vendor, lady, there's a covered bus stop 30 feet away." "Karen, I like this spot better." About 15 minutes later, 2 police officers showed up. By then, a small crowd had gathered to watch. The rain had lightened to a drizzle, but she still hadn't moved. Officer 1, what seems to be the problem here? I explained the situation while she stood there with her arms crossed, looking indignant. Officer 1, ma'am, is this your booth? Karen, no, but the umbrella is in my personal space. Officer 2, your personal space? Can you explain what you mean? Karen, I was standing here when the umbrella was opened. That makes it mine. It was divinely reassigned to me. The officers exchanged glances. Officer 1, ma'am, this vendor has a permit for this booth space. The umbrella is part of their setup. You need to leave. Karen, this is persecution. I'm being persecuted for my spiritual beliefs. Officer 2, nobody's persecuting you. We're asking you to leave a private booth space. Karen, I'm not leaving. This is discrimination. I'll sue. I'll sue all of you. She pulled out her phone and started recording. Karen, I'm being forced out of a public space by the police for seeking shelter from the rain. This is brutality. Officer 1, ma'am, this is your final warning. Leave voluntarily, or we'll escort you out. Karen, I'm not going anywhere. Officer 2, okay, then you're being cited for trespassing. Karen, trespassing, in a public market. Officer 1, you're in a privately rented booth space and refusing to leave after being asked multiple times by both the vendor and police. They started writing up the citation while she continued filming and shouting about persecution. Several market-goers had their phones out, recording her meltdown. Karen, this is going viral. Everyone will see how I'm being treated. Officer 2, that's your choice, ma'am. They handed her the citation, and she snatched it away, reading it with wide eyes. Karen, a $200 fine for standing under an umbrella. Officer 1, for trespassing. Now please leave, or we'll have to physically escort you out. She finally grabbed her purse and stormed off, still holding her phone up and recording. Karen, you haven't heard the last of this. I'm calling my lawyer. This is religious persecution. The officers apologized for the hassle and left. The fellow vendor who'd backed me up came over, and we both just started laughing. Fellow vendor, divine reassignment. I've heard it all now. Me, I need to put that on a t-shirt. The rest of the market day was pretty normal after that. Several customers came by specifically to say they'd witnessed what happened and wanted to support my business. I sold more that afternoon than I usually did on a full day. About a week later, I was setting up my booth when the market coordinator came by looking amused. Coordinator, hey, you're not going to believe this. Me, what? Coordinator, that woman from last week. She actually tried to file a formal complaint against you with the city. Me, you're kidding. Coordinator, nope. She claimed you were operating an illegal shelter service and discriminating against her. The city sent someone to investigate, and obviously they found nothing. But she's now banned from the market for harassing vendors. Me, good. Coordinator, oh, and she did post her video online. It got shared around, but not in the way she hoped. People are roasting her in the comments. I never saw her again after that, which was fine by me. I did buy a second umbrella though, just in case I ever felt like divinely reassigning one to someone else. Story 2. I'd been planning this trip to the theme park for 6 months. After my husband passed away from cancer last year, my sister insisted I needed to do something for myself, something fun. She'd even offered to pay for the tickets as a birthday gift. I was turning 42 and honestly hadn't felt like celebrating anything in a long time. But she wouldn't take no for an answer. So there I was, standing in line for the Dragon's Breath roller coaster on a sunny Saturday afternoon. The line was about 45 minutes long according to the sign. I didn't mind. It felt good to be out, to be around people having fun, to feel something other than grief for a change. I was texting my sister a photo of the coaster when I heard the commotion behind me. Karen, excuse me, coming through, medical necessity. I turned around to see a woman in her mid-30s pushing past people in line. She was wearing designer sunglasses, a tight dress, and absolutely massive stiletto heels that must have been at least 5 inches tall. Teen boy, hey, there's a line. Karen, I have a medical condition. I need to get to the front. She kept pushing forward until she was right behind me. A family with 2 small kids looked annoyed, but didn't say anything. Dad, ma'am, everyone has to wait in line. Karen, not me. I have documentation. These are emotional support heels. I couldn't help it. I turned around. Me? Emotional support what? Karen, heels. They're prescribed by my therapist for my anxiety. I can't stand in long lines because it triggers me, so I'm legally allowed to go to the front. Me, that's not how emotional support items work. Karen, excuse me? Are you a lawyer? Are you a doctor? Me, no, but I know that emotional support items don't give you the right to skip theme park lines. Karen, these heels help me cope with stress. Standing in line for 45 minutes would be torture. I have rights. Teen boy's friend, if standing bothers you so much, why are you wearing 5-inch heels? Karen, because they're emotional support. God, does no one here understand disability rights? She tried to push past me to get further up the line. I didn't budge. Me, you need to go to the back of the line like everyone else. Karen, I'm not going anywhere. You're discriminating against me. I'll sue this entire park. A park employee who'd been monitoring the line walked over. Employee, ma'am, what seems to be the problem? Karen, finally, someone with authority. These people are harassing me and preventing me from accessing my disability accommodation. Employee, what accommodation would that be? Karen, I have emotional support heels. They allow me to skip lines due to my severe anxiety. I need to get on this ride immediately. Employee, ma'am, the park doesn't have a policy that allows line skipping for emotional support footwear. Karen, that's discrimination. I have a right to reasonable accommodations. Employee, if you have a disability that prevents you from waiting in standard lines, you can purchase a disability access pass at guest services. But that requires medical documentation from a licensed physician. Karen, I don't need documentation. These heels are my documentation. They're prescribed. Employee, heels can't be prescribed, ma'am. Karen, my therapist recommended them. Same thing. Employee, that's not the same as a medical prescription. I'm going to have to ask you to either return to the back of the line or leave the queue. Karen, I'm not moving. This is discrimination against people with mental health conditions. I'm calling my lawyer. She pulled out her phone and actually started dialing. The employee spoke into his radio. Employee, security to Dragon's Breath, please. We have a situation. Karen, oh, you're calling security on a disabled person. This is going viral. Everyone get your cameras out. I'm being discriminated against. A few people did pull out their phones, but not for the reason she thought. Within 2 minutes, 2 security guards arrived. One was older, probably in his 50s. The other was a younger woman. Older guard, what's going on here? Employee, this guest is refusing to wait in line and claiming her shoes are emotional support items that exempt her from park policies. Karen, they're emotional support heels. I have anxiety. You can't make me wait in line. Younger guard, ma'am, do you have a disability access pass from guest services? Karen, I don't need one. My heels are all the proof I need. Older guard, that's not how it works. You need to either get in line properly or purchase a disability access pass with appropriate documentation. Karen, I'm not going anywhere. I paid for admission. I have rights. Older guard, ma'am, you're disrupting other guests and violating park policies. You need to come with us. Karen, are you kidding me? You're going to remove a disabled person from a theme park? I'll own this place when my lawyer is done with you. Older guard, you can discuss it with management outside the park. Let's go. Karen, I'm not leaving. Someone help me. They're assaulting a disabled woman. The security guards hadn't touched her. They just stood there, waiting. Younger guard, Ma'am, you can either walk with us voluntarily, or we'll have to escort you out. Your choice. Karen, this is insane. All of you people standing here doing nothing. You're all witnesses to discrimination. Teen boy, lady, you're not disabled. You're just entitled. Karen, how dare you? I have invisible disabilities. Teen boy's friend, your heels aren't invisible. They're bright red and ridiculous. The whole line started laughing. Karen's face turned scarlet. Karen, fine, I'll leave. But I'm getting a full refund, and I'm suing everyone here. She started walking away with the security guards flanking her. Then she stopped and turned around. Karen, and these heels are real emotional support heels. My therapist said they boost my confidence, and that's therapeutic. So technically I was right. Older guard, keep moving, ma'am. As they walked away, the entire line burst into applause. Some people were cheering. The teen boys high-fived each other. Dad, well, that was entertaining. Me, more entertaining than I expected today. Employee, sorry about that, folks. Thanks for your patience. The line started moving again. When I finally got on the ride 20 minutes later, I was smiling. Actually smiling. It was the first time in months that something had made me genuinely laugh. I texted my sister afterward about what happened. She wrote back immediately. Sister, emotional support heals? I'm dead. Me, I know. It was insane. Sister, glad you went. Sounds like you needed the laugh. She was right. I rode 3 more coasters that day, ate overpriced theme park food, and bought a ridiculous souvenir t-shirt. And every time I thought about those emotional support heels, I couldn't help but smile. Story 3. I've been working at this cat cafe for about 2 years now. After I graduated with my art degree and couldn't find anything in my field, I needed a job that would at least make me happy while I figured out my career. Working with cats all day seemed like a dream, and honestly, it has been. We rescue cats from local shelters, socialize them, and help them find forever homes. It's rewarding work, even if the pay isn't great. The cafe part is pretty straightforward. People pay an entrance fee, order coffee and pastries, and get to hang out with our cats for an hour. We have about 15 cats at any given time, all available for adoption. The rules are simple and posted everywhere. Don't pick up the cats unless they come to you. Don't feed them your food, and definitely don't try to take them home without going through the proper adoption process. Most people are great. They come in, play with the cats, maybe fall in love with one, and fill out an adoption application. We do background checks, home visits, the whole thing to make sure our cats go to good homes. It usually takes about a week to process an application, and we've had a really good success rate with our adoptions. Last Saturday was busy. We had back-to-back reservations all morning, and I was running around making sure everyone had their drinks and that the cats weren't getting overwhelmed. That's when this woman came in for the noon slot. She was probably in her mid-40s, wearing a lot of crystal jewelry and carrying this huge designer purse. She paid her entrance fee and immediately made a beeline for our cats, which wasn't unusual. What was unusual was how she kept trying to pick them up even after I reminded her of the rules. Me, just a reminder, we ask that you let the cats come to you. They'll approach if they're comfortable. Karen, oh, I know. I'm very intuitive with animals. They can sense my energy. She said this while cornering one of our Shire cats and trying to scoop him up. The cat, an orange tabby we called Butterscotch, squirmed away and ran under a chair. I made a mental note to keep an eye on her. For the next 45 minutes, she bounced from cat to cat, talking loudly about their auras and energy fields. Some of the other customers were starting to look annoyed. Then she zeroed in on our newest rescue, a beautiful gray cat who'd only been with us for about 2 weeks. This cat was special. He'd been found abandoned in a box outside a grocery store, severely underweight and scared of everything. We'd spent weeks building up his trust, and he was just starting to come out of his shell. He was incredibly sweet, but still nervous around new people. The woman sat down on the floor near him, and surprisingly, he He walked over to her. He sniffed her hand and even let her pet him for a few minutes. She started talking to him in this weird baby voice about destiny and spiritual connections. Her hour was almost up, and I started making rounds to let people know they had about 5 minutes left. That's when I noticed I couldn't see the woman anymore, or the gray cat. I walked around the cafe, checking all the usual hiding spots. Then I saw her standing by the exit, her giant purse clutched against her chest. Something about the way she was holding it seemed off. Excuse me, are you ready to check out? Karen, yes, I had a wonderful time. Very healing energy here. Great. I just need to do a quick head count of the cats before you go. Standard procedure. Her face twitched. Karen, that seems unnecessary. I really need to get going. It'll just take a second. I started counting the cats, making it obvious. When I got to 14 instead of 15, I looked at her purse. It was moving. Ma'am, I'm going to need you to open your purse. Karen, excuse me. That's a violation of my privacy. Your purse is moving. Open it, please. Karen, I don't know what you're talking about. My coworker had noticed the situation and came over. The woman took a step toward the door. Coworker, ma'am, we can't let you leave until we verify all our cats are accounted for. Karen, this is ridiculous. You can't hold me hostage. Open your purse or I'm calling the police. She clutched it tighter. I could hear a faint meowing now. My coworker moved to the door and locked it. We have a policy for exactly this situation because unfortunately it's happened before. Karen, you can't lock me in here. We can, and we did. Open your purse. She stood there for a long moment, then slowly opened her purse. The gray cat's head popped out, looking confused and scared. Karen, he chose me. He came to me. That means we have a spiritual bond. That means he trusted you, and you violated that trust. Give him to me. Karen, no. He's meant to be mine. I felt it the moment I saw him. Coworker, ma'am, if you want to adopt him, there's a process. You fill out an application, we do a home check, and if everything looks good, you can take him home in about a week. Karen, a week? No. He needs to come with me now. You don't understand our connection. I understand you're trying to steal a cat. Hand him over or I'm calling the police. Karen, you can't separate us. This is cruel. She was getting louder now. The cat in her purse was meowing more urgently. The other customers were all staring. My coworker pulled out their phone and started dialing. Coworker, I'm calling the police now. Karen, wait, okay. But I want to file for custody. Custody? He's a cat. You don't get custody of a cat you don't own. Karen, spiritual custody. He came to me for a reason. We need a hearing to determine where he belongs. That's not a thing. Give me the cat. Karen, I demand to speak to your manager. I am the manager on duty. Give me the cat or you're getting charged with theft. She stood there shaking, still holding her purse. I could see tears forming in her eyes, but I wasn't buying it. My coworker was already on the phone with the police dispatcher. Coworker, yes, we have someone trying to steal one of our rescue cats. She's refusing to return him. We're at the Perfect Day Cat Cafe on Main Street. That seemed to break through to her. She suddenly shoved her purse toward me. Karen, fine, take him. But you're making a huge mistake. We were meant to be together. I carefully pulled the gray cat out of her purse. He was trembling. I held him close and could feel his little heart racing. I was furious. You scared him. He trusted you, and you shoved him in a dark purse. You don't deserve to adopt any cat. Karen, I was protecting him. He wanted to come with me. The police arrived about 5 minutes later. I explained what happened while my coworker took the gray cat to the back to calm him down. The woman kept insisting she deserved a spiritual custody hearing, and that we were violating her rights. Officer, ma'am, you attempted to steal property. The cafe is within their rights to ban you and press charges. Karen, property. He's a living being. He has a soul. Officer, and he belongs to this business until properly adopted. You're lucky they're not pressing charges. She started crying harder, going on about destiny and soulmates. The officer looked exhausted. He took down all our information and told the woman she was banned from the property. If she came back, she'd be arrested for trespassing. Karen, what about my spiritual custody hearing? Officer, that's not a legal proceeding. You need to leave now. He escorted her out to her car. Through the window, I watched her sit in the driver's seat for a few minutes, crying and staring at the cafe. Then she finally drove away. I went to check on the gray cat. My coworker had him wrapped in a soft blanket, feeding him treats. He still looked shaken, but was starting to relax. Coworker, is she gone? Me, yeah. The cop banned her from coming back. Coworker, good. Poor little guy. He was just starting to trust people again. We spent the rest of the afternoon giving him extra attention. By closing time, he seemed back to his normal self, playing with toys and purring when we petted him. The next morning, I came in to find my boss waiting for me with a weird expression. Boss, you're not going to believe this. That woman from yesterday sent us a 20-page letter demanding we set up a spiritual custody hearing. She included testimonials from her friends about how good she is with animals and a list of demands for the hearing process. Me, you're joking. Boss, I wish I was. She also says she's contacted a lawyer who specializes in animal rights and holistic law, whatever that means. Me, what are we going to do? Boss, I forwarded everything to our actual lawyer. He's going to send her a cease and desist. If she keeps it up, we'll file for a restraining order. The letter was insane. She'd written about the cat's spiritual journey to find her and how their souls were connected across lifetimes. She wanted us to bring the cat to a neutral location where a spiritual mediator could determine his true home. She even offered to pay for the mediator herself. Our lawyer sent the cease and desist letter that week. We didn't hear anything for a few days, and I thought that was the end of it. Then she showed up outside the cafe with a sign. She stood on the public sidewalk across the street, holding a poster board with a picture of the gray cat and the words, "Reunite Spiritual Soulmates," in huge letters. She was there every day for a week, from opening until closing. Customers started asking about it. We had to explain the situation multiple times. Most people thought it was funny, but some seemed uncomfortable. Our business was definitely being affected. My boss filed for the restraining order. We had to go to court, which was surreal. The woman showed up with a 3-ring binder full of evidence of their spiritual connection, including printouts of tarot readings she'd done about the cat. The judge was not impressed. He granted the restraining order immediately, requiring her to stay at least 500 feet away from our cafe. He also lectured her about wasting the court's time. Judge, ma'am, you cannot force an animal adoption through spiritual claims. The business has every right to refuse to adopt to you, and you have no legal standing whatsoever. If you violate this order, you will be arrested. Do you understand? She nodded, tears streaming down her face. The best part came 2 weeks later. The gray cat got adopted by a lovely elderly couple who'd been regulars at the cafe for months. They'd been thinking about adopting for a while, and after hearing about what happened, they specifically asked about him. We processed their application in record time, and they took him home the same week. They still bring him back to visit sometimes. He's happy, healthy, and clearly loved, and we haven't seen or heard from that woman since the restraining order. I like to think she finally moved on, maybe found some crystals to obsess over instead. Story 4. I've been teaching 4th grade at this public elementary school for 7 years now. I got into teaching because my mom was a teacher, and I saw how much she loved shaping young minds. After getting my education degree, I started at this school right out of college. It's in a mixed-income neighborhood, so we get kids from all different backgrounds. Some have parents who are doctors and lawyers, Others have parents working 2 jobs just to keep food on the table. I love that diversity because it teaches kids about the real world. This year, I had a particularly great class. 23 kids, all with different personalities and strengths. Some were naturally gifted at math, others at reading or art. A few struggled academically, but made up for it with kindness and effort. They'd really bonded as a group over the first few months of school. About 6 weeks into the school year, I got a new student. His mom had just moved into the district and enrolled him midway through the semester. He seemed like a nice enough kid, quiet but polite. His mom, however, was a different story. On his first day, she insisted on walking him to class and staying for the first hour to make sure he was settling in. I told her that wasn't our policy, but she pushed back. "Karen, I need to make sure the environment is suitable for my son. He's very sensitive to his surroundings." Me, I understand, but it can actually make transitions harder when parents stay. He'll adjust better if he can bond with his classmates naturally. "Karen, fine, but I'll be checking in regularly." She left, but not before giving the classroom a long, disapproving look. Over the next few days, her son did fine. He made friends with a few boys in class and participated in activities. But every afternoon, his mom would corner me with complaints. "Karen, why is my son sitting next to that boy? The one with the stained shirt?" Me, you mean his reading partner? They're working well together. Karen, I'd prefer he sit with children who are more at his level. Me, all the students in this class are at the appropriate level for 4th grade. Some need more support in certain areas, but that's normal. Karen, we'll see. The complaints continued. She didn't like that one girl brought leftovers in a reused container instead of a lunchbox. She didn't like that another boy wore the same hoodie multiple days in a row. She didn't like that I let kids share supplies if they forgot something. After 2 weeks of daily complaints, she requested a formal meeting with me and the principal. I knew it was going to be bad when she walked in with a typed list. "Principal, thank you for coming in. What can we help you with today?" "Karen, I'm here because I'm very concerned about the environment my son is being exposed to in this classroom." Me, can you be more specific? Is there a safety issue? Karen, there are several children in this class who are disruptive and frankly, beneath my son's standards. Principal, beneath his standards? I'm not sure I understand. Karen, there are children from low-income families who bring their poverty energy into the classroom, and my son doesn't thrive around that. I felt my jaw drop. The principal's expression went cold. Principal, poverty energy. Can you explain what you mean by that? Karen, you know what I mean. The kids who don't have proper school supplies, who wear worn-out clothes, who probably don't have stable home lives. My son is used to being around excellence, and these children are dragging down the whole atmosphere. Me, with all due respect, every child in my classroom deserves to be there. Their family's income has nothing to do with their worth or their ability to learn. Karen, I'm not saying they don't deserve an education. I'm saying they don't deserve to share a classroom with my son. He needs to be around peers who match his caliber. Principal, Ma'am, that's not how public schools work. We don't segregate students by family income. Karen, well, maybe you should. I'm formally requesting that you remove the children I've identified from my son's class. I have a list. She slid a piece of paper across the desk. I grabbed it and saw 5 names written down. 5 of my students. I recognized them immediately. They were some of my hardest working kids, and yes, they came from families that didn't have a lot of money. Me, you've got to be kidding me. Karen, I'm completely serious. These children are rude, disruptive, and their presence is affecting my son's ability to excel. Me, these kids aren't rude or disruptive. They're some of the best behaved students I have. Karen, they're clearly from troubled backgrounds. One boy has holes in his shoes. Another girl's backpack is falling apart. How can my son focus when he's surrounded by that? Principal, ma'am, I'm going to stop you right there. What you're suggesting is not only impossible but discriminatory. We cannot and will not remove students from a classroom based on their socioeconomic status. Karen, then I want my son moved to a different class. One with a better caliber of students. Principal, all our classes have diverse student populations. That's intentional. We believe all children benefit from learning alongside peers from different backgrounds. Karen, this is unacceptable. I pay property taxes. My son deserves better than this. Me, every parent in this district pays taxes in some form. Every child deserves respect and equal treatment. Karen, I'm not talking about respect. I'm talking about standards. My son's education shouldn't be compromised because you want to play social justice games. Principal, this meeting is over. Your son will remain in his current classroom with his current classmates. If you have concerns about his actual education or safety, we're happy to discuss those. But we will not entertain requests based on discrimination. Karen, fine. Then I'll go to the school board. I'll go to the superintendent. I'll make sure everyone knows what's happening here. Principal, that's your right. The door is over there. She grabbed her list and stormed out. The principal and I sat in silence for a moment. Principal, in 20 years of doing this job, that might be the worst thing I've heard. Me, should I talk to the kids? What if she said something to them? Principal, let me handle this. I'm going to document everything and contact the district office. Over the next few days, I watched her son carefully. He seemed happy and was doing well in class. He'd made friends and never caused any problems. Whatever issues his mom had, they weren't his. A week later, the principal called me to her office with good news. Principal, so she did go to the superintendent. She brought her list and everything. Me and Principal, and the superintendent told her that if she was unhappy with the inclusive environment of our public schools, she was welcome to explore private school options. She tried to argue, but he shut it down pretty quickly. Me, is she pulling her son out? Principal, she tried to enroll him in 3 different private schools. 2 rejected him because they didn't have space, and 1 rejected him after she told them why she was leaving our school. Me, wait, really? Principal, apparently, she made the mistake of explaining her poverty energy theory during the interview. They told her their school valued diversity and respect for all students, and it wouldn't be a good fit. Me, that's amazing. Principal, oh, it gets better. She came back yesterday and asked if her son could stay in your class after all. I told her yes, but on the condition that there are no more complaints about other students' backgrounds. She agreed. Me, do you think she actually learned anything from this? Principal, probably not. But at least she'll keep quiet about it. Her son stayed in my class for the rest of the year. She never apologized, but she did stop with the complaints. The 5 kids she tried to get removed never knew what happened, and they continued being the wonderful students they'd always been. At the end of the year, one of the boys on her list won our school's character award for being the most helpful and kind student. His family came to the ceremony with proud smiles, and I made sure to catch the woman's reaction when his name was called. She looked like she'd bitten into a lemon, but she had to sit there and watch everyone else celebrate him. That moment made the whole ordeal worth it.